Richarlison has become one of the easiest footballers to criticize. A missed chance, blame Richarlison. A poor performance, blame Richarlison. Another injury, blame Richarlison. And eventually the narrative became simple. Richarlison is just not good enough. The narrative ignores something important. Richarlison was already a very good footballer before he arrived at Tottenham Hotspur. He had proven himself in Brazil. He had adapted to the Premier League. He had become one of Everton's most important players, and he had established himself as a Brazilian international. So maybe the real question isn't why is Richarlison so bad? Maybe it's why has Tottenham failed to get the best out of Richarlison? Because the deeper you look, the more complicated the story becomes. Before Tottenham, Richarlison had already built a respectable career. At Fluminense, he showed the raw qualities that would eventually attract European clubs. He was explosive, aggressive, direct, physical, imposing, and completely fearless. Then came Watford. His first Premier League season wasn't statistically extraordinary, but his performances immediately revealed something important. Richarlison could compete. He could run at defenders, he could press, he could attack space, and he could create problems without needing the entire team built around him. Everton noticed, and in 2018 they brought him to Goodison Park. That is where Richarlison became much more than a promising winger. He became a genuine Premier League attacker. At Everton, Richarlison was not a passenger, he was a protagonist. He became one of their primary sources of goals, intensity and attacking threat. He could play from the wing, he could play centrally, he could attack from deep, he could operate as the focal point of an attack. Most importantly, Everton gave him something Tottenham would struggle to give him: responsibility. Richarlison was expected to make things happen. When Everton needed energy, he provided it. When they needed aggression, he provided it. When they needed someone to attack the penalty box, he was there. Across 4 seasons at Everton, he scored more than 50 goals in all competitions, and this wasn't some isolated purple patch. He was consistently producing in one of the most demanding leagues in world football. Then Tottenham came calling. In 2022, Tottenham signed Richarlison from Everton. On paper, it looked like an excellent transfer. He was versatile, he was experienced, he was physically strong, he could play multiple positions, and he was entering his prime. But there was one enormous problem. Tottenham already had Harry Kane and Son. Richarlison wasn't arriving at Everton anymore, where he could be one of the central figures. He was entering a team where he had to fit around established superstars, and that distinction is enormous. At Everton, Richarlison was part of the identity. At Tottenham, he was part of the rotation. He wasn't necessarily being asked to become Richarlison, he was being asked to become Tottenham's version of Richarlison, and those are two completely different things. This is where the criticism becomes unfair. Richarlison has certainly made mistakes. He has missed chances, he has struggled with consistency, and his injury record has been frustrating. But football doesn't happen inside a laboratory. Players need rhythm, they need confidence, they need tactical stability, and they need a defined role. Richarlison has experienced very little of that consistently at Tottenham. He has been moved between positions, he has competed for minutes, he has played as a striker, he has played wide, he has come off the bench, he has started. Then injuries have interrupted everything again, and just when he begins building momentum, the cycle starts over. That is not an environment designed to maximize a forward like Richarlison. Perhaps the greatest enemy of Richarlison's Tottenham's career hasn't even been Tottenham. It has been his body, because injuries don't merely remove a player from the starting 11, they destroy momentum. A striker can spend weeks rebuilding his sharpness, his movement, his confidence, his understanding with teammates, his timing inside the penalty box. And Richarlison has repeatedly had to restart that process. This is why looking only at appearances can be misleading. A player who constantly enters and exits the team cannot establish the same rhythm as someone playing every weekend. And Richarlison's problem has often been less about ability and more about continuity. Richarlison was never supposed to be a beautiful, elegant footballer. He isn't the player who wants to spend 90 minutes producing spectacular touches. His game is built around intensity, movement, physicality, pressing, aggression, and attacking the penalty area. He is uncomfortable for defenders. He fights center backs, he attacks crosses, he makes aggressive runs, he occupies his defenders, and sometimes his best contribution doesn't appear on a statistics sheet. That makes him extremely useful in the right system, but in the wrong system he can look ordinary, and that is exactly what happened at Tottenham too often. There is another reason Richarlison has struggled to escape criticism. Hurricane. Tottenham supporters spent years watching one of the greatest strikers in Premier League history. Then Richarlison arrived. Immediately expectations became enormous, but Richarlison was never Harry Kane. He wasn't supposed to be. Kane was an extraordinary creator, scorer, and playmaker. Richarlison is a different kind of forward. So when people compare their output, they aren't necessarily comparing two players with the same profile. They are comparing two completely different footballers, and that is where expectations become destructive. Richarlison didn't fail because he wasn't Harry Kane. He failed to meet an expectation that perhaps should never have existed. There is another piece of evidence people often ignore. Brazil. Brazil has produced some of the most technically gifted forwards in football history, and Richarlison still became a trusted international attacker. He has represented Brazil at major tournaments. He scored a spectacular brace on his World Cup debut in 2022. That doesn't happen because a player is useless. It happens because there is something there. Something coaches trust, something teammates understand, something defenders have to respect. Richarlison is not an elite superstar, but calling him a bad footballer is an exaggeration. The honest answer is everybody a little. Richarlison deserves criticism for his inconsistency. His finishing hasn't always been good enough. His injuries have been damaging, and sometimes his performances simply haven't reached the required standard. But Tottenham also deserve scrutiny. They signed a player with obvious strengths, yet they struggled to create the conditions for those strengths to flourish. And that is the difference between buying a player and developing a player. Tottenham didn't buy a bad footballer, they bought a good footballer and struggled to unlock him. So, is Richarlison a bad footballer? No, but the truth is more uncomfortable than that. He is a good player whose career at Tottenham has become a case study in wasted potential. Watford discovered his aggression, Everton developed his importance, Brazil trusted him on the biggest stage, but Tottenham have never consistently found the perfect version of him. And perhaps that is why the title isn't Richarlison is a bad player. Richarlison is not the bad player, it's worse. Because sometimes football doesn't destroy a player's ability, it simply places that ability in the wrong environment. And when that happens, a good footballer can start looking like a bad one. Richarlison may never become the superstar Tottenham supporters expected, but that doesn't erase what he has already proven. He is a Premier League level forward, he is a Brazilian international, he is a proven goal scorer, and somewhere underneath the injuries, pressure, criticism, and confusion, the footballer is still there.